There are rare, undeniable moments in life where a specific person steps into your world, and in that single instant, the idea of chance completely fades away. You can try to look back, trace your steps, and apply logic to how everything happened. Yet, deep down, your intuition already knows that logic never had any control over this situation. This person did not just casually pass through your life. They made a definitive, permanent entrance. The moment they arrived, a quiet but massive shift happened within your very spirit. It was silent, and it was irreversible. Even right now, as you try to move on, tell yourself the chapter is finished, and rationalize why you are apart. There is still a heavy gravity pulling your thoughts right back to them. It is not a desperate pull, it is the pure weight of recognition. If these words are crossing your path today, it is not an accident at all. Important messages always find you exactly when your inner self is ready to understand them. Carl Jung once wrote that those who look outside dream, while those who look inside awaken. At this exact second, something deep within your core is starting to move. It is a quiet knowledge that refuses to be ignored, a deep feeling that this connection was never meant to be easily erased from your memory. You might have reached a crossroads where you feel completely torn in two. You are caught in the exhausting tension between holding on tight and letting go. You are stuck between trusting what you feel in your heart and doubting yourself because of what you see in reality. Silence has a terrifying way of making doubt much louder. Distance can make even the most certain heart question its own truth. You have probably wondered if you are just imagining the depth of it all. You might wonder if you created a meaning that was never really there. But if it were just your imagination, the feeling would have faded by now. Illusions always fall apart when they are tested by time. This one did not. Your inner self completely refuses to let go of this person, and that refusal exists for a reason. Time did not make it weaker. Pain did not destroy it. Every single attempt to disconnect failed to set you free. Instead, every time you tried to walk away, you just circled right back inward to the exact same quiet truth. This person matters deeply, not because your ego wants them, but because your soul recognizes them. This has nothing to do with obsession. Obsession is loud, anxious, and demands attention. What you are experiencing is much quieter and far deeper. It lives far below the noise of your daily thoughts and expectations. It waits patiently. It comes to the surface in moments of complete stillness, in your dreams, and in sudden waves of emotion that hit you without any warning. It is the heavy feeling of unfinished meaning. When you first met this person, something incredibly ancient woke up inside you. It was not just simple physical attraction. It was not just compatibility on paper. It was a deep familiarity without any memory. It was a sense that you had already known them long before this current lifetime ever introduced you. The conversation between you two might have been simple, but the energy underneath it was not. Your nervous system felt completely safe and intensely alive at the exact same time. That paradox is incredibly rare, and it leaves a permanent mark. Jung also noted that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances, and if there is any reaction, both are transformed. You are transformed. Whether you can see it right now or not, they were transformed too. Connections that change the core of who we are never casual. They completely rearrange something inside us. They open up heavy doors that can never be closed again. Even now, even with all this distance and silence, they feel you much more than they show. Some people experience their emotions deeply on the inside while showing them on the outside. Other people do the exact opposite. Silence does not mean an absence of feeling. Sometimes it actually means there is too much feeling with absolutely nowhere to put it. Your presence woke up something inside them that they were not prepared to handle. Instead of leaning into that feeling, they stepped back, hoping that creating space would quiet down whatever you stirred up. It did not work. Energy does not need spoken words to travel. In their quietest moments, when all their daily distractions finally fade away, you surface in their mind. It is not because they want it to happen, but because the connection itself insists on it. They replay old conversations in their head. They remember exactly how you made them feel truly seen. They constantly notice the sharp contrast between your presence and the emotional emptiness of everything else around them. That comparison makes them feel incredibly unsettled. They are not distant because they do not care about you. They are distant because they care too much. There are heavy battles happening inside them. You were never meant to fight those battles for them. They are dealing with old wounds, an intense fear of vulnerability, a fear of losing control, and a fear of being exposed at a depth they cannot handle yet. For some people, Love feels dangerous, not because of the other person, but because of what it forces them to see within themselves. This is exactly where many connections break apart. One person awakens much faster. The other person resists the mirror that is being held up to their face. You became that mirror for them. You reflected back parts of them that they had buried long ago, and instead of rejecting you, they retreated away from themselves. Jung described this perfectly when he said that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Right now, they are being driven entirely by the things they have not faced yet. But an awakening can never be undone. You cannot unsee what you have already seen. You cannot unknow what you now know deep down. You entered their life to remind them of emotional truth, of real tenderness, and of true authenticity. You reached a place inside them that had been fast asleep for a very long time. That kind of deep touch does not just vanish. It lingers, it reshapes things, and it waits. The universe never wastes a single encounter. If this connection were truly meant to end quietly, it would have done so by now. Instead, it echoes constantly in signs that catch your attention, and in dreams that feel far more real than your waking life. It shows up in moments where their name comes to your mind without any effort at all. These things are not distractions, they are clear signals. They are not telling you to chase after them, but they are telling you to trust what is happening completely beyond your control. There is a massive difference between trying to force a closed door open and simply knowing that the door will open when the timing is right. Your exhaustion is completely valid. Loving someone deeply without any clarity is a heavy burden to carry. But your lingering hope is not a sign of weakness. It is your intuition. Your intuition never screams at you, it just waits. Right now, something is shifting far beneath the surface. It is not visible to your eyes yet, but it is happening internally. Their resistance is growing weaker. Their fear is finally being challenged. The heart that once closed up tight is softening under the weight of its own truth. Whether they are willing to admit it to you or not, the thought of losing you completely is becoming much more terrifying than the thought of trying again. This is not the end of your story. It is just the pause before understanding, the space where true growth happens, and the silence where alignment prepares itself. You are not being asked to wait around blindly. You are being asked to stay deeply rooted in who you are, to remain open without losing your own balance and self-respect. Jung also said that patience is the key to joy. This does not mean a passive, helpless patience, but a grounded patience. It is the kind of patience that trusts the timing of life without sacrificing your own dignity. It is the kind that knows when something is entirely real. Real things do not require force. As this message settles deep into your mind, notice what resonates with you without any effort. Truth never needs to convince you. It simply lands. If your heart feels calmer right now, instead of more anxious, that is your true confirmation. The connection is not broken, it is transforming. In this quiet space of transformation, you are being shaped just as much as they are. That is something your rational mind often resists, because the mind always wants instant resolution, labels, and clear timelines. But the soul works in a completely different way. The soul uses uncertainty as a refining fire. It strips away all your illusions, your dependencies, and your false expectations until only the pure truth is left standing. What you are experiencing right now is not just waiting, it is becoming. You have probably noticed that since this connection entered your life, you are no longer the same person you used to be. Your emotional awareness has grown so much deeper. Your standards have become much sharper. You can no longer tolerate shallow connections or half-hearted love. Something inside you completely refuses to settle for anything less than what feels aligned, safe, and real. That change is not a coincidence. That is the lasting imprint of a soul-level encounter. Sometimes a connection does not come into your life to stay right away. Sometimes it comes to awaken you first. It comes to show you what is actually possible and to reveal what your heart truly needs, rather than what you were taught to accept. Once that awakening happens, you can never go back to sleep. Even if that person is completely absent right now, the truth they activated remains alive and well inside you. This is exactly why letting go feels totally impossible right now. It is not because you are desperately clinging to a person, but because you are holding on to a beautiful truth about yourself that was born through meeting them. You learned exactly how deeply you can feel, how open your heart can truly be, and how capable you are of true emotional presence. Your soul will never abandon its own expansion. You may also feel sudden moments of doubt rising up when you least expect it. You might think to yourself that if this was truly real, It would be much easier, or if they really cared, they would find a way to show it. These questions are completely natural, but they come from your rational mind, trying to measure something that does not operate on linear rules. Soul connections rarely ever follow a straight, easy path. They move in circles and spirals. They revisit the exact same themes at deeper and deeper levels. Each time they return, they ask for more honesty, more courage, and more integration from you. What makes this connection feel so complicated is not a lack of feeling, but the timing of your readiness. You are ready to open up completely. They are still learning how to heal. Readiness is not something you can ever give to another person. It has to be earned through their own inner confrontation. They have to face the fears they have avoided for years, and they have to choose vulnerability over self-protection. There are moments when they almost reach out to you. There are moments when your name is right on their lips, and moments when they sit with their phone in their hand, imagining exactly what they would say to you. But fear always interrupts them. They fear saying the wrong thing. They fear not being enough for you, and they fear opening up something they do not trust themselves to handle yet. So they choose to stay silent, hoping that time will solve what only true courage can fix. Yet time keeps bringing you right back into their awareness. Unresolved connections never just disappear. They wait, they linger, they resurface the second their distractions fade away. Late at night, early in the morning, in the middle of empty conversations, and in relationships that completely lack depth, you become the quiet comparison they cannot escape. This is also why signs seem to follow you so closely lately. It is not to keep you stuck, but to keep you steady. Whenever you start to doubt your own intuition, something always appears to remind you that you are not imagining this. It might be a song that speaks directly to your exact story, or a vivid dream where the conversation finally flows perfectly without any fear. A sudden memory might arrive now with complete emotional clarity instead of the usual sharp sting of pain. These moments are not meant to pull you backward into the past. They are actually designed to anchor you deeply in trust. Trust does not mean waiting around in a state of constant suffering. True trust means staying beautifully connected to your own heart, while allowing whatever is genuinely meant for you to find its way back naturally. There is a very subtle but powerful shift happening within you right now. You are learning the massive difference between attachment and alignment. Attachment narrates a story that you absolutely need this specific person in order to be okay inside yourself. Alignment whispers a much deeper truth that you are already completely fine on your own, and you trust that whatever belongs to you will eventually meet you in total honesty. That single shift changes absolutely everything about your life. When you stop chasing after clarity from the outside world and start embodying clarity within yourself, the entire dynamic transforms on an energetic level. Something inside you finally loosens up. The heavy pressure you have been carrying lifts away. The connection between you two is no longer being fueled by anxiety, desperation, or fear, but by a very grounded and peaceful presence. This peaceful state is exactly where a true reunion becomes possible. If this person were to return to your life while you are still feeling completely depleted, doubting yourself, or shrinking your own worth, the connection would just repeat its old painful patterns. But if they return when you are truly centered, self-honoring, and emotionally whole, something entirely new can finally begin. It will be something much healthier and something truly mutual. You are not being punished by this long delay. You are actually being prepared by it. You are being prepared to receive genuine love without ever abandoning yourself again. You are being prepared to recognize real consistency and effort instead of just chasing after someone's unfulfilled potential. You are being prepared to meet them, not as a person who is constantly seeking external validation, but as someone who stands fully and firmly in her own worth. They can actually feel this shift happening within you, even if they cannot find the exact words to name it yet. They sense that you are quietly pulling your beautiful energy back inward. They can clearly sense that you are no longer waiting for them in the same desperate way you used to. Paradoxically, that is exactly what makes the connection feel much more real and significant to them. Now your presence is no longer guaranteed to them. It is something that must be earned and actively chosen. This is the exact point where fear begins to lose its heavy grip on the situation. The absolute possibility of losing you completely suddenly becomes very real to them. Reality has a beautiful way of cutting right through emotional avoidance. Their heart starts to speak much louder than their usual defense mechanisms. Their old memories of you begin to soften. A quiet regret starts to surface inside them. A genuine desire for repair and communication begins to grow. During this time, you may experience moments where you suddenly feel completely calm and almost detached, which are then followed by sudden waves of deep emotion. That is just alignment taking deep root inside your spirit. You are no longer fighting against the connection, but you are no longer losing your identity in it either. You are simply allowing the relationship to exist without trying to control the final outcome. That sense of balance is incredibly powerful. It signals to the universe that you are finally ready for the absolute truth. Whatever form that truth takes, it will show up, because truth always responds to a ready heart. The path between the two of you is not blocked at all. It is actually being cleared out right now. Old misunderstandings are slowly dissolving into the background. Internal resistance is growing weaker by the day. What once felt completely chaotic and confusing is slowly reorganizing itself far beneath the surface. You do not need to do anything more right now. There is no need for convincing them, no need for endless explaining, and no need for proving your value to anyone. Just stay deeply present in your own life. Stay entirely honest with yourself. Stay open to life without chasing after anyone who is running away. The rest of this story is unfolding in its own perfect rhythm. As this specific part of your journey continues, you may start to sense the connection much more clearly. It will not feel like an aching longing anymore, but more like a quiet certainty. It is a deep knowing that does not beg for constant reassurance. It is a trust that no longer needs a daily stream of signs. Something is moving steadily toward true alignment. It is not being rushed, it is not being forced, but it is entirely real. There comes a specific moment when the heavy longing finally softens into a beautiful understanding. This does not happen because the connection is growing weaker. It happens because your personal relationship to the connection is changing for the better. You stop asking yourself why this painful thing is happening to you, and you begin to realize that this is actually happening for you. That shift is very subtle, but it is incredibly profound. It is the exact moment when your past pain starts turning into deep wisdom. You are beginning to clearly see that this connection was never meant to consume your life or destroy your peace. It was actually meant to reveal your true self to you. It came to strip away what was false and to expose exactly where you abandoned your own needs in the past. It came to teach you the true difference between emotional intensity and real intimacy. It showed you the difference between toxic attachment and true devotion, and between romantic fantasy and grounded truth. Once that lesson begins to fully integrate into your life, the suffering completely loses its grip on your mind. You may notice right now that your thoughts about them are shifting. They are no longer frantic, stressed, or desperate. They arrive very gently in your mind, sometimes with a sense of genuine warmth, sometimes with absolute clarity, and sometimes with a calm acceptance that whatever unfolds next must be rooted in real authenticity instead of fear. This is a major sign of emotional maturity forming deep inside you. This is exactly where the connection reaches a massive turning point. When one single person in a soul bond evolves and grows, the entire dynamic is forced to respond. Energy always seeks a natural balance. When you stop chasing after answers and start embodying the truth of who you are, the universe adjusts its timing accordingly. What once felt completely stalled and stuck begins to move again. What once felt deeply confusing begins to organize itself beautifully. They are feeling this major shift too. Even if they do not consciously understand why it is happening, your energy is no longer reaching them as a desperate need. Instead, it reaches them as a powerful presence, and sometimes as a quiet absence. That absence speaks as a calm strength that can never be manipulated or ignored. That grounded strength unsettles them far more than your pursuit ever could. Their silence has a completely different meaning now. It is no longer a form of rejection. It is a time of deep internal processing. It is a direct confrontation with their own self. They are being asked by life to look deeply inward and to face the exact patterns they have relied on for years just to stay safe. They are facing their avoidance, their emotional distance, and their need for control. These strategies used to protect them from getting hurt. Now those same strategies just isolate them and keep them lonely. There are moments when they feel an incredibly strong urge to return to you, which is then immediately followed by moments of intense hesitation. This inner push and pull has absolutely nothing to do with you. It is entirely about them standing right at the edge of their own personal growth. Stepping forward means risking real vulnerability. Staying back means losing something completely real. That painful tension cannot last forever. What is beautiful and important for you to understand right now is this truth. The final outcome of this connection does not depend on how much you hope for it, but on how deeply you honor yourself through it all. The more you stay perfectly aligned with your personal truth, the clearer your path becomes. Whether that specific path leads to a beautiful reunion or a peaceful release, it will no longer have the power to break you apart. It will only strengthen you. But there is something your soul already knows deep down inside. This connection carries a massive amount of unfinished meaning. It does not exist because it needs endless drama, but because it requires absolute truth. There are words that were never spoken out loud,